Look, at this point, we've got to start calling Dan Ives Mr. Tesla or something like that. Another day, another appearance, Dan Ives discussing the company. I've got to say, if I didn't know any better, I'd almost think that Dan has taken it upon himself to start shifting the narrative in the mainstream finance media on this company. The quote from this video: "The Tesla recovery story has begun."
Joining us now is the aforementioned Dan Ives, Managing Director, of course, at Wedbush. What do you mean the recovery story has begun?
The comeback story for
Did it
Tesla.
need a comeback?
I think it did.
Now, I'm not sure if we're talking about the company or the stock. I will assume the company. Otherwise, they would have used the stock ticker, right? Well, Tesla, the company, not sure what it's coming back from. They're still killing it with an unassailable lead on electric vehicles, autonomy, making huge inroads, and spooling up absolutely staggering amounts of AI training compute. Cybertruck production ramping, August 8th robotaxi unveil, still ready for it, firing on all cylinders. Although the narrative around Tesla has certainly shifted. Through 2016, 17, and particularly 18 and 19 until toward the end of the year, it was the end of the world. Tesla's going bankrupt, competition's coming, it's over. Then, suddenly, late November, not 2019, the company shocked people who weren't paying attention and started printing crazy amounts of money, having reached scale, ramping Model 3. Suddenly, Tesla to the moon, Tesla to $10 trillion, blah, 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 blah. Eventually, the FOMO got so great on Tesla that even the OnlyFans thots, who made tens of thousands of dollars a month during the scamdemic, started watching content on YouTube to figure out where to put their hard-earned cash and started loading up on Tesla. Then interest rates through the roof, economic slowdown, everyone feeling the pinch, Tesla gross automotive margins coming back to reality after, remember, Elon Musk himself literally described Tesla vehicle prices at the time as embarrassingly high. And then suddenly the narrative swings again, comparable to how it was in 2017, 18 and 19, extremely negative. This time it wasn't Tesla's going bankrupt, its margins are collapsing, the competition's coming, people want hybrids, Elon's distracted, Elon bad, stop having opinions, Elon, and so on. So perhaps what Dan might be suggesting, we'll find out, is that the pendulum is once again swinging back toward a slightly more realistic interpretation of Tesla as opposed to doom and gloom. Because I don't think we're going to see much change in gross automotive margins over the next quarter or three, which is what people were panicking about 6-12 months ago. So that hasn't changed. I don't think it will much until interest rates come back to reality. So let's see what Dan has to say.
Because they had massive headwinds in China, and now we're seeing the comeback play out. Now, 2Q deliveries next week, I think that's really going to be the last of really some of the worst that we've seen in China. We're starting to see a mini recovery in China. The comeback kid story for Musk is starting with, of course, Robotaxi Day in August. I believe this is a stock that's going to have a massive run second half of the year.
What do you think?
Now, that's a very dangerous prediction, predicting what a stock's going to do over a 6-month period. Because who knows? I mean, you can't predict the collective buying and selling of all the people regarding Tesla stock. However, I think odds are better than a coin toss that this will play out. Now, the reason I say this isn't because I expect to be able to know what investors are going to do. The reason I say this is just in terms of probabilities. To me, personally, Tesla's current valuation makes absolutely no sense. With a company in excess of $1 trillion, I'd still be buying with every spare cent, seeing it as an absolute bargain. If I'm right, and the company's valuation makes absolutely no sense, it's far lower than what it reasonably should be if investors were accurately assessing the company's future cash flows, earnings, revenue, blah, blah, blah. If that's true, which I believe it to be, then it stands to reason that the more time passes, the more likely it is that, quote, the stock market will eventually figure this out. So, again, I don't know what's going to happen to the stock. And personally, I'm still buying, so I'd rather it stay in the dumps as long as possible. But I kind of get the sense it's almost like a ticking time bomb. What did that lady, that crazy lady, oh, that's right, Cathie Wood, what did she say about Tesla years ago? So, for context, on screen now, roughly $12.71 per share. This is approximately when we heard Cathie Wood, back toward the end of May 2019, say this about Tesla. Just keep this image in your mind. What happened subsequent to these comments from Cathie versus what Tesla had done in the prior half decade or so, which would be accurately described as going abso-fucking-lutely nowhere or less than nowhere. I mean, literally, by the way. Periods of time here over a 5-ish year window, 5.5, close to 6. Tesla stock from its highest to lowest point, down 20, 30+%. Essentially flat / down over more than half a decade. And then, well, you guys know what happened afterwards, right?
2012 it was launched. Yep. Not one of those competitors is anywhere near it. We're 7 years later. Now, let me take your other point. this trading around, this trading range, you as a trader and investor, but as a trader also, understand that when you build a base like that, one of two things is going to happen. It's either going to break down, and that's what a lot of the bears have been betting on, and they've been throwing everything at it, or it's going to break out. Clearly, we believe is going to break out. And the longer the base, you say 5 years, the longer the base, the bigger the breakout. So we're really looking forward to that.
Aged like a fine fucking wine. Since that call, even though Tesla stock today is down about 50% from its all-time highs, still up nearly 1,500%, about 15 times. I mean, visually, she absolutely nailed it. Big base, then huge breakout. Now, this chart can be somewhat misleading, so I just want to be really clear to you folks. Peak to trough here, November 2021 to June 2024, Tesla stock down just over 50%. We're seeing on screen now, same chart, an almost identical drop, yet it looks almost completely dead flat. The reason, of course, the scale of the chart has changed massively since Tesla's huge breakout. So what we're seeing here, essentially, if there were to be another huge breakout, and remember, ARK Invest believe Tesla's headed to $2,600 per share, 2029, at least that's their fair valuation, then what we're seeing here, from basically the beginning of 2021 until mid-2024, is also an extremely flat period of now 3.5 years. We could wind it back a little bit further to August 2020, essentially the same thing. Now, I'm not saying that round two's going to happen. I'm just saying Dan Ives is predicting something comparable to what Cathie Wood predicted back in 2019. And I won't be surprised. But as I said, I'm secretly praying to the flying spaghetti monster that as the stock remains on a long-term discount because I'm still buying.
I think has been then that headwind that you talked about? Is there one thing you could point to?
Look, EV demand's clearly been soft globally, but it's really about China. I mean, China was a massive tailwind for years, became a headwind, but now, Brian, you're not seeing those price cuts anymore. So you're starting to see stabilization, China demand starting to increase. And I think the stock's telling you, and we believe next week's just another sign of it, is that the worst is in the rearview mirror for Musk and Tesla.
I want to go back and hope you don't mind. You're a good guy and you roll with things. You heard the top of the show, okay? And I'd built these Trump and Biden portfolios, and I had, in my original one, I had Tesla because I thought we decided, we're not really sure. With Tesla, if Trump wins and rolls back some of these EV financial incentives, don't know if he will, but let's say he did. Would Tesla have a natural advantage?
I'll take that one, Brian. Yes, obviously, no shit, Sherlock. I've said it before. I'll say it again. First of all, these EV incentives are totally unnecessary. And second, I mean, hey, as a Tesla investor, I'll take them, but they're totally unnecessary. And if they were to be rolled back, all this will do will stop supplementing companies who are losing multiple tens of thousands of dollars per electric vehicle sold to soften some of the pain they experience when selling these vehicles. They're still not going to be able to compete with Tesla on price. And they're still all ultimately fucked. I also believe that Orange Man Bad is likely to have extremely high tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles in particular coming into the US, meaning they're less cost competitive. And by the way, the Biden administration also talked recently apparently about 100% tariffs, so same shit with both administrations, potentially. That's also completely bullshit for consumers, and it will also help Tesla because there's going to be nothing else to choose from. Because the Chinese electric vehicles, they're the vehicles I believe they're going to eat the lunch of legacy automotive manufacturers today in the US in particular, GM, Ford, and so on. Because they make pretty compelling, affordable vehicles. They're just not as good as a Tesla, but hey, they ain't bad and they're good value. But if consumers can't buy these because they double in price by the time they get to the US, and local automotive manufacturers like Government Motors and Ford can't profitably produce EVs, it's just Tesla. I mean, they're the only game in town. Great for Tesla, terrible for everyone else. By the way, just for fun, I thought I'd share this from the same anchor we're currently hearing from just before the US presidential debates. Hot take number 1. Biden will do fine. He took a week to rest and rehearse. He'll meet low expectations. Well, I'll tell you what, that is such a hot take. It went down in flames and possibly some cope during the debate. Trump should have prepped for the debate. Answers often rambling and unfocused. His massive ego hurt him. Now, the reason I'm sharing this is just to provide some context. If I didn't know any better, I might think that maybe Brian here believes that Orange Man bad and Biden fine, at least until he'd seen the full debate. Obviously now anyone with a brain cell realises that early onset dementia patient I've been describing as such for years is exactly as described. This may or may not be relevant, but I just thought I'd share it because Brian's now starting to ask some politically oriented questions. And ladies and gentlemen, I would be rather shocked if Trump ain't elected as a new US president in 2024. I also will be pretty surprised if they don't swap Biden for Patrick Bateman, current governor of California, sometime soon. Either way, doesn't matter. Republican or Democrat president, it will have no meaningful impact on Tesla whatsoever. No EV incentives, negative implications for companies that aren't profitably making EVs, but Tesla is profitably making EVs. EV incentives stay, no fucking difference. If Orange Man Bad wants to incentivize more manufacturing jobs in the US, guess fucking what? Tesla are one of the biggest manufacturing employers in the whole fucking country. Maybe actually the biggest. In short, regardless of a new administration, doesn't make a fucking difference for Tesla, but it will potentially impact other companies trying to compete with them. Keyword, trying.
Over its customers because of its price point. In other words, are they kind of, dare I say, a Trumpy portfolio type company?
Oh, I'd say, Trump pro Musk, and I'd say it's bullish. A Trump presidency would, at the end of the day, be bullish for Tesla, negative for EVs. Then we saw that when you showed that across Rivian and others. And I think it also speaks to the Biden administration. Musk has really been an afterthought. In a Trump administration,
well, he's been actively ignored.
Actively.
President Biden, I think 2 weeks ago, tweeting out something like, "We're going to make EVs in America," and like he got ratioed, and people are like, "Tesla, and already does."
And I think if Trump's in the White House, Musk gets more front and center. That's bullish for Tesla, especially if you start to see those EV rebates roll back. Negative for the industry, bullish for Tesla.
But that's.
Yo, completely agree. Dan and I totally on the same page here. Oh, and I do just want to mention, it's no secret the Biden administration has an active disdain for Elon Musk. And to be fair, I don't think the big guy knows what the fuck's going on, so don't blame him. But the people pulling the strings and controlling Biden from behind the scenes hate Elon Musk. Actively snub the guy and Tesla intentionally, repeatedly. It's embarrassing and shameful. Trump has previously acknowledged not only accomplishments with SpaceX, but his massive respect for Elon Musk. And I wouldn't be surprised if Trump is elected president, and there's no late mail, that there will be some meetings between Elon and Trump to talk about manufacturing jobs in the US, supply chain, national security, and so on. This certainly can't be bad for Tesla. At the same time, I also expect Trump's going to continue to pander to his voter base, especially those in particularly red states with economies massively contributed to by the fossil fuel industry. With the same talking points, he's going to be shitting on electric vehicles, joking about them having no range and breaking down, and yet also be extremely supportive of Tesla. I think in Orange Man Bad's mind, there's electric vehicles, which he can shit on, to pander to voters, especially working in the fossil fuel industry, and there's Teslas, which are entirely separate things. And to be honest, he does kind of have a point. Just like there's iPhones and there's everything else. There's Teslas and there's everything else.
That's the point. If somebody decides to buy an EV Silverado from GM in part because they get $7,500, right? If that goes away, they might say, I just can't pay for that. I'm going to go with a Model X.
And they've already scaled. If you look at their scale and you look at their pricing, they are in a massive position of strength. And that's why I think as you start seeing more signs of Trump presidency, that is bullish for Tesla.
1000% agree. One side note, by the way, in case you guys haven't noticed, interest rates through the roof, people struggling to pay their mortgage, can't afford groceries, tough times economically. Far and away, the biggest strength of a Trump administration, based on history last time around, is a roaring economy. If I didn't know any better, I might think Trump's read a bit of Thomas Sowell, or just been operating businesses in the real world for decades. So here's another prediction. With a Trump presidency, which I assume is inevitable unless, like I said, there's some late mail, a few years in, roaring economy, people feel more confident about making big purchases, recovery in the automotive industry, heavy incentives for US manufacturing, whether we're talking about lithium mining, refinement, the whole supply chain relating to electric vehicles, battery cells, the actual vehicles themselves, parts, components, supplies, etc. We could be looking at the roaring 2020s. As for Dan's prediction about Tesla stock going on an absolute tear in the second half of 2024, I'm going to give this about a 69.420% probability of playing out. What do you guys think? Want more content? Early access? A bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. And I haven't missed a daily video in more than 3 years. Must be a coincidence, right? Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. But don't take my word for it. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. By the way, viewer, that makes 2 of us. On to the next. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. This viewer's been taking AG1 for 8 months and says, what an investment. Another. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, or I can keep going. There's plenty more to come. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. If you're still skeptical, hey, I don't blame you. Everyone on the planet seems to be promoting AG1 now, but guess what? They weren't nearly 3 years ago when I had this to say privately to my Patreon audience before there was a relationship, when I was asked about what I was doing for my health, energy, and so on. Just sharing my genuine, honest thoughts about a product I'd recently discovered that was at the time called Athletic Greens, now AG1. If I could only recommend one supplement to take, Athletic Greens, and I'm not getting paid to say this, Athletic Greens is a fucking game changer. I cannot believe how effective this is. No longer having a lack of energy in the afternoons. It's fucking amazing. There's only one thing to recommend, seriously. Try Athletic Greens. You won't go back. So obviously, just like Elon Musk is a liar, a fraud, a con man, a scammer, a fake engineer, and Tesla's going bankrupt, you shouldn't trust that guy from about 3 years ago who, without any financial incentive, was promoting this product to his audience on Patreon when they were asking about health and what he's doing for supplements. Because obviously, there was some other reason he recommended that, obviously. Not sure what it was, but don't trust that guy. And all the testimonials, like my mental game has improved with AG1. I feel better than ever. I'm so impressed I've bought it for both my parents. I feel more focused and have better digestion. Incredible difference. No more afternoon fatigue. It's relieved gut issues. These are all just obviously fake testimonials from fake people. Right? Wrong. Just try it. Unless you hate yourself. If you hate yourself and you don't even want to risk possibly feeling better, this is not for you. But for everyone else, what's the worst that could happen? Try it for a month. See how you feel. It's a no-brainer. Just click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR. You'll get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2 plus 5 travel packs. And you'll take the colossal risk that maybe you might have a similar experience to some of the people whose testimonials we've read in this video.